Okay, so...
First of all, how do you follow that? Anybody? Do a little bit of pity, yeah? Thank you.
So the big... Nicola is really important to me because what preceded the Valuable 500 and what helped us get Paul Poman and what we did was #Valuable. And I came to Nicola, it was in February 2017, and was like, will Facebook come and back us? And you were like, And because it's complicated, right? All the corporates and whatever. But Nicola gave us 30,000 ad credits. Now, I had to remortgage the house to do #Valuable. But that resulted in 810 million people engaging with #Valuable. So can I just say, I owe the beginning of Valuable to Nicola for Facebook. And it shows the power of Facebook, the great power of Facebook, and the great power of a leader. But you also did it because you know Facebook is doing good work. You are doing good work around disability. It's just maybe you're not shouting, the leaders aren't shouting about it, but tell us a little bit about what Facebook's doing.
So thank you for that very generous introduction. Every time I see Caroline, I'm always thinking, right, we're not doing enough. What more can we be doing? She's just got that energy about her, hasn't she? Diversity matters to us, and it always has. And you're slightly nervous following that video as well, anything that I say. But it matters to us because when we think about what we're doing, we think about the platform that we have, the 2.7 billion people around the world. And so what we want to make sure first and foremost is that the people that are coming on our platform, whoever they are, wherever they are in the world, that there's no restrictions to how they can enjoy using our platforms. And the second part then is making sure that within Facebook, that we actually have a community of builders that are reflective of the people that are using Facebook in order that we can make the progress that we want in order that everyone can enjoy. And I'll give you a very practical example. So there's a guy called Matt King who is blind. He's one of our engineers, but he's leading our visually impaired team. So what does that mean? What he's actually created with his team is using artificial intelligence to be able to identify what is in a photograph. Just think about it if you don't have visual impairment. And by the way, there are over 250 million people at least around the world that suffer some sort of visual impairment. You can't see what's on Facebook. Facebook's increasingly visual. So how do you do that? What do you see? That's a picture of us two sat here now. So through AI now, we're training the machines to be able to say, well, it looks like there's two women having a conversation. One's dressed in funky yellow.
Neon banana here.
Or neon banana, and can actually speak and actually say what's on. So that's just a very small example of the sort of work that we're doing through the work that we're doing on being inclusive.
And I think the one piece that you told me when we were talking about it, prove that Facebook has the power to galvanize the community. Because what we've noticed in Facebook, you're giving voice, we're creating a tribe. And that has been, that was proved through #Valuable. But there was other reasons that we had this story. And there's a quote that I've come across over the last few months, and I love it. Well, I love Maya Angelou anyway. And it's a quote saying, there's no greater agony than an untold story inside you. And for me, I think that's why I eventually came out of the disability closet. And I know that you carried a story when I first met you. And do you mind just talking a little bit briefly about that? And was it difficult to come out and speak about your experience of cancer? And were there fears there that you think are relatable around disclosing in disability?
Yeah, Maya Angelou is always brilliant for incredible quotes. But yeah, it was, so I was diagnosed in 2.5 years ago now with an incurable cancer. And, you go from one day just thinking about, the next meeting you've got to be to suddenly going, oh my goodness, how do I get my head around the fact that, I'm a mum of 4, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, and I'm running a big business. What do I do? How will people look at me? Will people feel sorry for me? Will people pity me? Is that the end of my job prospects? And I told my story slowly. I shared with my team and my family and my friends, but it took me a good year before I had the courage and the confidence to be able to talk publicly about it. And the reason I did it actually was for selfish reasons, I'm going to be honest, which was I discovered that there really wasn't much funding going into my cancer. Everyone went, don't worry, the new cures will get done, and lots of inventions going on at the moment in advancement in science, and that's clearly not the case in my cancer. So I thought, well, if I tell my story, that might help. I can use my platform to be able to, and I do have a platform, and I know I do, to be able to kind of agitate and get more people out there. What was most interesting to me, I was overwhelmed with the feedback that I got, but there were 3 CEOs from around the world that reached out to me and said, I have the same cancer as you, but I haven't ever told anyone. And they'd gone through treatment, and they'd had, like 3 or 4 people in their world knew. And that just made me stop and think about that weight, that heaviness, that then people are not bringing their whole selves to work if they're having to hold something back. So I'm very honest, and I went through treatment last year, and I told people I'm having a bad day. I'm going to have to, what I'm going through. This is a bad day. I'm not going to be able to do stuff today.
So when you think about that, and we look at that statistic about EY, 4 out of 5 of our C-suite are not disclosing about disability. Do you think it's about fear of how they're perceived, about their performance?
No, I don't think. I think it hasn't had voice. I think the work that you're doing is incredible, because I think things do need cheerleaders. I think it does need agitators to say, listen and look. And I think people are more open-minded to want to learn, but to know where to go to learn, and to learn from other organizations as to what to do. A lot of it starts with recruitment. So some of the work that we're doing is actually training our recruiters to be able to think about disability when they are going through the recruitment process. And one of the things might be that actually, the way that we've done recruiting in the past isn't inclusive in terms of thinking about people of all diversity. And this is not just the nice thing to do or a good thing to do. There's real innovation at the heart of this, because when you bring people from different backgrounds together, interesting stuff always happens, because you have people that have different reflections of the world. And there was a video that I saw on that came up on Facebook not so long ago. I literally could not believe when I saw this video, which was, some of you might have seen this, which was, those when you're in toilets and you have soap dispensers where you just put your hands under and it comes out automatically. It still amuses me, that, and the water when you do that as well. So there was a video that somebody had posted saying, how could this have happened in 2018? And what it was that when a white person put their hands under, the soap came out. But when a person with a darker skin tone put their hand over, it didn't work. Just think about that. Now, that wasn't done because people were being mean or cruel. That was done because there was no diversity in that R&D department, in the way that they were thinking, in the culture of that company. And that's the sorts of things that need to change. Not because it's the right thing, because innovation is missed out, because creativity is missed out, because business opportunities is missed out, and because people, when they come together, better things happen.
Like, there's another really bonkers stat that Marianne Waite, who's our campaign director, talks about. There's 100,000 vegans in this country, right? 100,000. But the supermarkets rush to serve the 100,000 vegans, not the 13 million people with disability with 249 billion spending. Like, that's crazy. It's just like flushing it down the toilet, I'm guessing. And I think the other part is that if we have the creativity in the business, or the different thinking, that's when the products are created. One of the other things we never knew is the remote control was designed for blind people.
I didn't know.
Yeah, see, it's an extraordinary thing. So on that point, we were just talking outside, like, you as leaders have so much, okay? I'd hate to be a CEO of a big company at the moment, because you're being asked to do 1,000 things and to be completely moral and to use your head and your heart. What do you think is cutting through? Is it the business case? Though I don't understand why we're doing the business case for humanity. Is it the moral case? Is it both? What's going to help the CEOs go, okay, I got to get on the valuable 500? Or for other issues, how do we do that? What's going to cut through with you?
So I think it's about culture, and I think it's actually about changing cultures within organizations. So, and that can come from the top, but also from the bottom up as well. So one of the things that we have at Facebook is employee engagement groups. They come from the bottom up. We do fund them. So if people want to get together and group together, they can. So we have, as you'd imagine, we have a women out, we have black out, we have pride out. But we have a differently abled group as well. And one of the things that, from spending time with that group that they've said to me is actually we've never had a place before in any of the other companies where people who are differently abled in different ways actually can come together and share their experiences. Having a culture where it's fine if you need to go to the doctors, not feel ashamed or embarrassed that you need to take the time out. Having a culture where you can say, you know what, that door is too heavy for me to open. I might look fine, but the strain that that's going to put on me, I don't know how to tell somebody that. Where do I go? How do I express that? So I think that's one. I think we talked about recruitment, but I think also the managers and the leaders within organizations need to be aware of their own bias. need to be aware of their own bias and their own privilege that they have, which might just stop them even thinking about the decisions that they're making that can actually make enormous cultural change within an organization. So it starts with culture. And some of the stuff that we're doing is that we're investing in these specific trainings around managing inclusion and also managing bias. I've seen, I cannot tell you how many, and I will share this, white men that have gone through these trainings and had deeply profound emotional reactions, because never before they've been confronted with the privilege that they have, and it is a privilege. But once they're aware, once they see, then actually they go on and do extraordinary things, and some of the, the strongest advocates for it. So I think it's a process. It starts with the leader, but also you need the employees to be working together with you.
So kind of just to finish up, I know that you come from a background. So we've chosen our allies for change, like Omnicom. We know, so our allies are CMOs for sure, along with Next Generation and the employees in the business. So the power of brand is a piece I really want you to talk about. But the last one is, look, you're an amazing leader on gender and women in business. Can you give all of us, or any of us, some advice when we're talking about this? What can we learn from how you helped accelerate that change in the business? Was it through brand? Was it through personal leadership? What are the kind of key success factors?
So one of the things that I do, actually, I write a vision every year. And I write a vision and I share it with all of my team to say what I want to achieve. Actually, I share it with everybody. So if anybody wants, I share it. I won't show you the confidential business numbers, but group it around 3 areas. What I want to do personally, and I sit with my husband and my kids and talk about what we want to achieve as a family. Business, I get my goals given, but there's a lot of scope in there as well. And then what I want to do in the community, because I'm a profound believer in that people should give back. And I think if you make bold declarations at the start of the year, you tell everyone about it, you're going to have to do it. It's as simple as that. So things on the Women At, it is about, one of the things I did when I first came to Facebook was actually just to invite all the women. And at that time, there was about 30, 40 women in the office. We were about 200 people in the London office to say, come to my house for dinner. Tell me how it is to be a woman in this company. Just tell me. And actually, I think that's, it tells people that you're interested. It tells people that you want to, do things. And then use your own network. How can I inspire people? How can I feel role models? How can I sponsor and mentor and help and change and champion and learn? All of this is a learning. I mean, I feel privileged that every single day I go into the office and I learn something new because of the people that I work with. So care about it, put it on your agenda, tell people what you want to do. Stuff usually happens.
Oh my God, that gives me an amazing idea, because wouldn't it be incredible if we could get some of the leadership from the organizations to invite people who experience disability to come and talk in exactly the same way that you're doing it, because then you're seeing you've got employees in your business having the conversation. So I know we're just coming to the end, and I know that the complication of getting organizations to sign up or to get leaders to sign up, and I know that you are very personally committed to getting Facebook to sign up, so I know that's true. But if there's one thing that you would advise any of us in this space in business who are trying to see something through or trying to cause a revolution from a personal perspective, and for the things that you've done in your life and you've gone through, what is your learning in somebody sort of like leading a revolution or leading a cause or keeping trucking? What is your best advice to any of us? Because you're Nicola Mendelsohn, so tell us. Come on now, give us your best advice. And to me particularly, because I got 490-something other signatures to sign.
So I think sometimes when you look at the scale of the task, it can just feel too big. And I kind of always think about it as, if you were going to climb Everest, you don't just climb Everest. It's the preparation, it's the first steps, it's all the things you do. So it's like get you to base camp. So how do you just get to base camp? And if you've got 500 organizations all getting to base camp, they're all going to lock hands and then going to go to second base and third, and then eventually you'll be climbing Everest together, of which I have absolutely no doubt that you will do that in Davos next year. There'll be more than 500, and they'll be fighting down the doors, and they'll need a bloody bigger venue to fit them all in because of you.
Well, no, Paul Poman has decided to make the declaration as the valuable 5,000. I know he's my chairman, but unbelievable. But you did an awful lot for me, and one of the things I feel very strongly about is credit where it's due. And thank you for believing me back in valuable days. And I hope you're proud that we're here. And I hope to see you in the tent in Davos. Would you please give a massive round of applause to this amazing woman?
I am not leaving it there, because there's no way that we are not giving an even bigger round of applause to this incredible lady who is going to change history.